Good evening, viewers. Once again, welcome to Nuggets of Hope. This is a program that has been airing each and every Saturday at 8 p.m. We had taken a break for a while, but now we are back with a bang. So welcome to Nuggets of Hope. Today is a special Saturday. We're going to have one of our brothers in church sharing his testimony. His name is James Wafula, and we hope and expect that his testimony is going to bless you today. So we ask you to stay tuned as Brother James Wafula shares his testimony. So thank you once again and welcome. So Brother James Wafula, what's your name?
That's my name.
Yes, welcome to Nuggets of Hope.
Thank you for having me on the program.
Yes. So we are happy to have you, and we are aware that you have a testimony, or rather some testimonies that you're going to share with us today. So we are eager to hear the testimony. So please, the floor is yours, Brother James.
Amen. Thank you for having me once again. As my brother has said, I'm James Wafula. I'm a father of 4. I have a son, an orphan boy, and 2 little girls. I thank God for this far. God is so good. And when I say God is so good, it means God is forever good. I'm a recipient and a receiver of what God has done in my life. I want to thank God firstly for the gift of salvation, that I'm born again and I'm a Bible-believing Christian. God has been so faithful in my life as a young man, and in my family as a father, and in my business as a businessman. But above all else, in the ministry as a Sunday school teacher and also a minister of the gospel. I'm glad to be in this church and also serving together with brethren. Maybe to begin with, because there are so many things that the Lord God Almighty has done in my life, like they are innumerable. I cannot even count and name it all. As we always sing as believers, count your blessings and name one by one. A time came in my life, I was working as a young man, praising and glorifying the Lord wherever I was. And in this company, we were just 2 people who were born again. Personally, myself and the company secretary, who happens to be a sister that is known in this country, Florence Mourinho. She's a gospel singer. And I thank God, just the 2 of us in the whole company were born again. We went through challenges as people who are different by faith from others. And being a young man, I stood on the word of God. I used to pray every day. I was a casual worker. Unlike Florence and the others, I had happened to get, they call it a kibarua, meaning I was not a permanently employed employee. And in this company, majorly we used to manufacture or to produce cooking oil, edible oil. Like most of us know Edianto, we know Chef and all that. A time came in my life during that time when I was praying in part of the hideouts in that company. I call hideouts because that's the place I used to hide and pray. And then the company supervisor one day noticed that at a given time Wafula was missing. So he retraced and traced my steps and noticed that at around this time I used to hide somewhere and pray. So one day after I had finished praying, he just stood close by and said, "A young man, we have an opportunity in this company for a laboratory assistant. And most probably if you have papers and all that, you can get the opportunity." So to cut my...
He met you while you were praying?
Yeah, after I had prayed in the go-downs.
Okay.
There's a place I used to call hideout for myself.
So he followed you?
Yeah, he followed me because he must have noticed that at a given time I was missing all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. So to cut the story short, as I said, I was given the opportunity. An interviewer came from KIRIDI, Kenya Industrial Research and Development Industry, and God is faithful. I got the job as a laboratory assistant in that company.
So professionally, were you qualified for
I
that
wasn't
position?
qualified.
No, so it's actually grace.
It was just God's grace.
Oh.
Yeah, because the person I was being interviewed with was a university graduate. And in fact, that day he had bought the whole company stuff in his section, a lunch. He knew very well that he was going to go through. But I held on to faith, just having completed high school without papers, at least, and the experience. But it's the little knowledge that God had given me in high school in chemistry that I made the day. Yeah. So God is faithful. We should remove our eyes from circumstances. The circumstance here is that you are being interviewed with somebody who is more qualified and has papers, but you have Jesus with your little knowledge, and God will stand up for you only if you have faith. I held on to faith. I was kind of shaking, but faith made me to stand strong and trust in the Lord. So after I had gotten this job, I was very keen to learn. And by God's grace, I rose up from being a laboratory assistant and to a deputy refinery operator. They saw the work of God, they saw the work that I was doing in me. I was very faithful, and I did what I was told to do. And generally, as children of God, we should always obey the authorities because they are all ordained by God. It doesn't matter which company, which place, or we are working for an individual. A time came, and on this particular day, we were supposed to mix the residue that is formed when we do deodorization. To deodorize is to remove the chaff from the mixture. We get this mixture from maize germs and maize cake. So that is how edible oil is made. So my function as a laboratory assistant and a deputy refinery operator was to take a was to mix sulfuric acid with what? With the soap stock. Soap stock is now the residue after we have removed the smell, the odor out of the mixture. So that that is the process of purification. You purify the mixture to form edible cooking oil. Now this residue is not thrown away. What the company does, or what is normally done, is that you take this residue, mix it with sulfuric acid to form what we call a soap stock. And from soap stock, that's where we get soaps. That is how soaps are manufactured. On this material day, sorry to say, I came to work. Normally I was excited. I had my time to do my Bible study because at night we normally did not have much work to do. Basically, my work at night was to ensure that the residue was steamed. We used to boil those chemicals. You can imagine an over 20,000 liter tank being steamed to boil in order to create the temperatures for the sulfuric acid to mix and to form the soap stock. Now, something had happened in this company that day. Because of greed, a senior manager in that company had authorized some stale soap stock, yes, to be taken from a defunct company next to us, so that once we do this process, he will make money out of it. Because that company had been closed. It had stayed for over 4 years without working, but they had their own soap stock. Now, in order for him to get money, he just authorized, and the casuals who were within the company, they went and brought the soap stock. The soap stock was stale. Now, you can imagine something stale, you cannot boil. And if you happen to boil, it will not rise up the way milk comes up when it's boiling. Normally, when it's boiled, that's when we could put the sulfuric acid. So when I came in at night, nobody told me, neither the operator, that the stale soap stock that had been put in the tanks. So basically, we used to take around an hour or so to have the soap stock boiling. And I waited after 1 hour, and it was not boiling. The refinery operator questioned why. So I had to stand there and wait and see if there's something wrong, and the steam was coming in normally. 1 hour went by, 2 hours went by, 3 hours went by, and it was not boiling because we were not informed that it was a different soap stock that had been brought inside. Brothers and sisters, after 8 hours, the stock was not boiling. And the operator told me, soon it will be morning. What we have to do is that you've got to apply the sulfuric acid inside. So what I did, I said no, because I kind of had a fear. I decided to go and pray first before taking the sulfuric acid. And you have to climb the ladder on top of the tank in order to pour what? To pour the sulfuric acid inside. There is a funnel kind of that you spill in the sulfuric acid slowly, and then there is an observation hall, so that when you see the reaction, you know that it's boiling, and then you ask the refinery operator to switch off the machine. Now on this occasion, I went to pray, and something funny, when I went to pray in my corner, the refinery operator appeared. When he appeared, he told me, "You've not done what you're supposed to do." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, let me go and do it." So when he left, I went to do what? To pour the sulfuric acid. But I decided to come back and pray again. Okay. So when I went back to pray again, I found him standing where I normally pray. And that thing happened around 3 times. Then I just decided, let me go and do what? Let me just pour the sulfuric acid. It was a 20-liter jerrycan.
So did you have an opportunity to pray?
I did not have the opportunity to pray.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can proceed.
Yeah, so what I did, I put on the protective clothes. The company provides protective clothes, yeah, in case of an accident. Yeah, so that is protective gear and boots as well. So what happens here on this day, I climbed the stairs holding the 20-liter jerrycan, and I just stood on top of the tank as usual and started pouring the sulfuric acid carefully, because there are instructions to be followed. But now the thing here that happened on that day, this was different. This, as opposed to the 1 hour or so that it takes the normal soap stock to boil, this had taken 8 hours. They were really high temperature. The temperature was so high. It was so high. You could feel it even around a distance of around 3-4 meters. The heat, you could feel the heat from the tank 2 or 3 meters away. But I had to, because I had to follow instructions. And you see, the refinery operator was waiting, he was around watching from a distance.
So, just to ask, the refinery operator, was he aware that you are using a different, you are boiling a different soap stock?
He wasn't aware.
So both the two of you are not
because aware. He was the person in charge. Anyway, if anything had to be done, he was the first person to be informed, because he was the refinery operator.
So he was not aware, neither were you?
As an assistant, I wasn't aware. So on getting on top and pouring, I had a noise. I thank God I had a sound. When I had the sound, I checked on through the observation hall, and guess what? The whole volume of the soap stock erupted like a volcano.
Wow.
And as it did, one thing I thank God, and you know, the tank is about 10, around between 10 and 15 feet above the ground, and I had to jump from there. But now, before I jumped, what happened? It caught me by surprise. I was still holding the 20 liters of highly concentrated sulfuric acid. I didn't even have time to do what? To place it down. But by God's grace, I just put it down there. And in the process, I left my hand that was close to the observatory hall. On turning back, the thing had already gone up like a volcano. You see the way lava flows out of out of the mountain. So because I had turned, it removed everything. It burned my entire back, right from the legs up to the hair. This hair was not there. The hair was just removed. It went together with the hot solution, with the chemicals. I had to jump down, and I started crying and running, and I ran after the refinery operator. He was so confused, he also ran away from me.
So there were only 2 people?
Yeah, we were only 2 people. We were only 2 people. Yeah, in the factory. And the other 3 or 4 were outside. Not outside the factory, but outside the operation.
The skin at your back.
Yeah.
It all went off.
It was burnt and it went all. It went off. You don't see fire here,
and you were able to run at the same time.
Yeah, and even when I was running in the process, the skin, especially on the legs, were peeling off. It was that bad. It was that bad.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got to the refinery operator. He was so scared, and the mistake he did that he opened water and used the hose pipe to do what? To put on me. Now when he realized that what he was doing was even causing more harm, because now the skin was peeling off very fast. He started shouting and crying, and he ran and pressed some button in order to call in emergency, the alarm. But now it's not the medics that came by, it was us as carriers with the rooms, and we had been locked inside the factory, and there's nothing they could do, and there's nothing that they will do. It was shortly before 5 a.m. in the morning. I had to endure the pain, standing for 3 hours, until now the first people came. It was that bad.
3 hours.
3 hours. With that pain, the skin had peeled off. I was in total pain.
So what happened with the solution? Was it still erupting, or?
Yeah, it continued to pour down, just like milk overflows when the temperatures are high, when it's boiling. Yeah, it flowed throughout the entire factory place. Yeah, and it was eroding chemicals. It was eroding metal. Any metallic thing or plastic was being eroded by the hot solution.
Wow. So we actually say that is God's grace.
That is
Because
God's grace.
It did not. The eruption came, and it found that ulikuwa umeturn.
I had already turned. Now we get to the testimony. Burning is another thing. Getting healed is another thing.
Yeah.
I give God all the glory. Now, I want to believe that it was a spiritual warfare. As I said, it's only the two of us that were born again. And maybe as we prayed, because the company belongs to some community who do not even worship the Lord our God. Maybe they were disturbed, I don't know. But now, because we were locked inside, at exactly 8, the first vehicle came with the bosses, and they opened the gates. They were told, we have had an accident, and there's somebody who has really been burnt by chemicals, and he needs to be taken to hospital. This is what happened thereafter. Every vehicle that they put me in to take me to hospital did not ignite. Yet they came very normal, but they could not ignite. So they decided to do what? To take me by lorry. And you see, there was no place they could hold me, because the entire back part was burnt. Was burnt, and I could feel even the chemicals still entering
So the skin had
the
peeled
tissue.
off.
Yeah, the skin had peeled off. Now what happened here, they decided that now, because there is no way that I could go, and I had to be taken to Mata, because Mata Misericordia was the nearest hospital there. So they decided to hold me and walk me to the road in order to get a vehicle. Because by then we did not have these Ubers, but taxis were there. So they managed to get a taxi, and what they did is they put me behind of the back seat, and I slept. Yeah, I lied there. Prostrate, that is. Then I was taken to Mata. We normally hear people say that you see somebody who is extremely sick, and you with your maybe a minor headache or maybe some small ailment, you get well. Well, I saw it happen. When I was taken in, I saw mamas and people who looked at me. They were so shocked, and some of them, I believe, they got healed in just words. Yeah, it sounded like a joke, but it was very painful. I was really writhing in pain, and God was with me even during that time. You know, when you are in the pain, you are not alone. People may not be around, but God is there with you.
Wow. So, thank you, Brother Wafula, once again. We are going to take a break, and I believe that this testimony is going to actually a long testimony, and we want you to stay put. We are going to proceed with this testimony in our next episode. So thank you for your time, and may God bless you.
letter.
You have not been attended
I've
to.
not been attended to. I'm still at the back. Well, I just heard him saying that this man is going to die in my vehicle. So when he put me there, they can be seen. When I put on a shot, you can see situation from anywhere. Apart from just neighbors talking. And you see, being a born again child of God, when I used to pray, the neighbors will hear. They will know that this is a prayer for me. And when I woke up the next morning, I put on my left foot and the right foot and I started walking.
Wow.
And there was no pain in me, but the wounds were.